Yo, what is going on, Cover One crew? Welcome back to the show. Hope everybody is good. You know why we're here. We're talking fantasy football playoffs. We're talking playoffs, baby. Week number 15 start sit lineup advice. I got you guys covered, man. The Thursday nighter definitely put us in a hole if you had any Rams or 49ers to start with, and it's going to be a problem to regain some of those points. There is no question. Could be one of those weeks. Y'all know this, man. If it starts on the slow note, we could definitely see it continue down the rest of the week, but let's hope for the best because we need those dubs because there is no tomorrow. It's win or go home. Y'all know the drill. It is rapid fire. Every team, every player. Let's go. Arizona Cardinals taking on the New England Patriots. Coming off the bye week, those Pats. Okay, and Kyler Murray and company, they still looked right, fantasy-wise, not necessarily good on the score sheet, losing to those Seahawks last week. Still giving Kyler the low-level risk this week once again. They got to figure out how to get Marvin Harrison Jr. involved, get this man the ball. Like I said on Boomer Bust, he's doing the yo-yo of, booming one week, failing the next. Booming one week, failing the next. That's kind of the MO for him over the last 7 weeks. I foresee this being one of the boom weeks for a Marvin Harrison. Fire up Kyler everywhere you got him. Fire up a Marvin everywhere you got him. I do believe there is TD upside here in a good way. Marvin has not dropped a pass since week number 1, if you guys don't know this, so I guarantee he's going to have a decent day this week. James Conner, low-level risk. Fire him up everywhere you got him as well. Not much for injuries outside of a Demercado, and Trey Benson doesn't necessarily fit the bill for any volume upside. Michael Wilson, low floor, mid-level, not touching it outside of 14-team leagues. And Trey McBride, if this man could just get his way into the end zone, he'd be popping off for 15 and 20 every single week and, fighting with a Brock Bowers for the top spot at tight end. No question. Fire up A. McBride everywhere you got him. Atlanta Falcons taking on the Las Vegas Raiders on Monday Night Football. Doubleheader Monday Night Football. Sorry, I'm still a little under the weather if my voice does crack, but doubleheader Monday Night Football. Falcons, man, Kirko Chains, he's seen better days. Everybody's wondering, when is it going to be Michael Penix's time? So this is basically last kick of the can. If the Falcons lose this contest, I do believe we might see a Penix the following week because their season is basically lost, and then they'll see what they can do. Low floor for Kirk continues. All this man's doing right now is throwing interceptions, and it is crippling the rest of the offense outside of a Darnell Mooney. Good upside for a Darnell Mooney. I got a mid-level risk for a Drake London, but I could still play both a London and a Mooney versus the Raiders, who have, played decently overall. I mean, they do compete, but there is points to be had. It's just which Kirko Chains are we going to see? I do not like and do not trust Kirk this week whatsoever. Low floor, mid-level risk. There are better options for you. Bijan, obviously low-level risk, 10 boom games. You fire him up everywhere you got him. Algier scored a touchdown last week. Still remains on the TD dependent, not looking in that direction. Or say, hey, Ray McLeod, PPR floor once again. Very too much volatility for me to trust. We're Kyle Pitts on the high-level risk. I do not like it. I was singing the good graces. I won't anymore. It's too big of a week to be playing a Kyle Pitts. Even if he hits on the waiver wire or your bench, I am not trusting it. Baltimore Ravens taking on the New York Giants. Okay, Lamar Jackson and company, they're coming off the bye week, should be ready to go. Taking on a Tommy DeVito. This couldn't have come at a worse time for these New York Giants. Couldn't come to a best time for us in fantasy football. Fire up Lamar everywhere we got him. Derrick Henry, stud start of the week, baby. He should run free off the bye week. Absolutely love this matchup. 13 boom games for both these gentlemen, Lamar and Henry. I do believe they're still the only two that I got 100% boom rate so far this season. Absolutely unbelievable. Fire up these guys. These guys could be definite league winners for us as we move forward. Justice Hill, mid-level PPR floor, because this game could get out of hand early. We could see a lot of, garbage time point productivity coming to a Justice Hill. So deeper leagues, abso-freaking-lutely flex play for a Hill this week. Zay Flowers, I got him on the mid-level because they may not need him as much as we think this week. It is one of these situations, if you got him and you want to play him, I don't dislike the play. You got to hope he finds his way into the end zone, cracks that, 10, 11, 12-point threshold. Outside of that, it's going to be very difficult, especially if they're running free against this Giants team and this score does get out of hand. If Tommy DeVito throws a couple pick sixes, could be out of hand early, and then this is going to cripple us fantasy-wise. So Zay Flowers, play with a little bit of caution. I got a mid-level risk, hoping that he does at least get, 5 catches, about 70 yards, and hopefully finds his way into the end zone. Rashad Bateman, low floor, not touching it. Nelson Aguilar's taking over for the suspended Deontay, not touching it. Mark Andrews, low-level risk, fire him up everywhere you got him. And Isaiah Likely, Not likely getting in my lineup this week because it is just too volatile for me as well. Buffalo Bills. Bills Mafia taking on the Detroit Lions. Josh Allen, baby, 50 points plus last week. Record-setting day, highest point totals for a quarterback ever in fantasy, if I'm not mistaken. My guy, Josh Allen, baby. He led us to victory. He's going to have to put the cape on again this week unless the Bills have a better game plan. Some injuries, Rasul Douglas not going to be playing, so that's a big loss for the Bills as well. Offensively speaking, Josh Allen, 10 boom games. He just over the 300-point mark now with that 50-point spot. You obviously know that Josh Allen is going to be geared up to play these Lions. It's a huge game, man. 12-1 Lions versus the Bills. Let's go, baby. James Cook on the low-level risk. Excuse me. I do believe that he does see a bounce back this week. He's been very good over the last 4 weeks. Last week was a little bit of a dud, but it did come with circumstance, due in part to the score being out of hand early, and the Bills had to throw the football quite a bit and lean on Josh Allen. I do believe they're going to want to control a lot of the pace and tempo in this game. James should have a very big role, sizable role, low-level risk for me. Ray Davis not touching it this week. Where Amari Cooper, he's been doing very well overall. Very quietly just, gaining lots of yards, gaining lots of receptions. Even when you watch the Bills game, you don't feel like he's taken over the game, but he's putting up pretty big numbers. I'm good with an Amari Cooper play this week on the good upside in the green. Khalil Shakir, what I say last week, baby. Sometimes, the sun shines on a guy like me. I mean, it was just in my model. My model definitely spits it out and says, this is the week to play this guy. I mean, majority of the time, I do get things right, and this was a big one last week. Called TD upside for Khalil Shakir. He absolutely blew up. Best game of the season for him last week. I do like it again this week on the PPR upside in the green, even though they're likely getting Keon Coleman back, potentially getting a Dalton Kincaid back. This should only open up doors for a Khalil Shakir that much more to be that big play guy. Once again, they're going to need him in this contest, especially if it does turn out to be a shootout. Well, low floor for a Keon. I don't want to play it this week. Want to see him get his football legs back, coming off the injury for quite some time. Not going to touch Keon this week. Where Dalton Kincaid, still got him on the injury risk mid-level. I mean, he could still sit this week. Coach said that he is definitely a true questionable to play in this contest, so it would be Dawson Knox, and I would definitely look in other directions. Carolina Panthers taking on the Dallas Cowboys. Bryce Young's been playing so much better. Can we trust him in fantasy playoffs? Probably not. I would look in your other direction. Who's got you here? Play your studs. If you're streaming quarterbacks and you don't have a better option than Bryce Young, you made it into the playoffs, I give you some big kudos, because that's quite difficult to do with a Bryce Young. Still mid-level risk. He's been playing very well now with Adam Thielen back in the mix. Low-level risk. Fire up Adam everywhere you got him. He's been good since coming back from his injury. Where Chuba Hubbard, I keep doubting him in certain contests. I will not doubt him anymore, man. I got a gripe with these Carolina Panthers coaching staff. Why did you bring back a Jonathan Brooks, man? I was telling y'all, it takes longer than the 9 to 12 months, man. Football legs. You needed to play it safe with a Brooks. What was the reason, man? You're 3-9. You play him last week. He rips his ACL again. He's likely gone till 2026 now. What are you doing to the young man? But Chuba Hubbard now, he is obviously the unquestioned leader in this backfield. Still now low-level risk. He should definitely eat versus these Dallas Cowboys. Xavier Legette, mid-level risk. He's dealing with something of a wrist injury, I believe, and he's going to have surgery in the offseason, so he's definitely playing through some levels of pain. I don't really want to trust it outside of maybe multi-flex leagues if you have no other choice. I do like an Adam Thielen much better than that, where Moore and Sanders not touching it this week, and I think Bryce Young could definitely get you the 17 points you're looking for. Chicago Bears taking on those Minnesota Vikings on Monday Night Football. Like I said, doubleheader. Caleb Williams. Man, there's going to be lots of changeover in Chicago, hearing lots of rumblings about how this coaching hire is going to go, potentially kicking out the general manager as well. Caleb on the mid-level risk. I think there is better options as well. Even though the Minnesota Vikings defense can be gashed at times, I'm not touching it this week. It's too big of a week to trust, but can Caleb support his other pass catchers? That's kind of what we're looking for in this contest, where DeAndre Swift, he is dealing with a groin, truly questionable. Don't think he practiced on Friday either, so that is a big one. We'll see if he gets a limited session in on Saturday. There is definitely an injury risk. I'm probably fading a DeAndre Swift this week for better options if you do have them. Roshan would take over in that sense, would get some volume upside on the mid-level. So if DeAndre Swift sits, I would maybe play him in 14-team leagues, not necessarily in 12-man leagues. The volume and rushing upside on this team just hasn't been abundant enough to trust for those big tallies. PPR upside for a DJ Moore. I don't dislike it this week. I think there could be some good opportunities, especially if a Steph Gilmore does sit again, where Roma Dunzier was the big baller last week, over 18 points. I'm going to drop him back down to a mid-level, and then Keenan Allen may get the game this week as well to get him over that, 12 points we're looking for. But DJ Moore, I would rank it DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Roma Dunzier this week, even though Rome did look very good last week. And Cole Kmet, high-level risk. We are definitely not playing him this week. Cincinnati Bengals taking on the Tennessee Titans. Okay, Joey B and company, poor guy got his house broken into, shook up. He's going to take all his, frustrations out on that field. You know this, man. They're still alive, 5-8 in the playoff hunt. They got to basically win out, get some help, and they could maybe still make it into the postseason. Low-level risk for Joey B. Chase Brown, low-level risk. Fire him up everywhere we got him. He's been running wild as well. 9 boom games for him. Jamar Chase, it's a no-brainer. You're obviously just plug and play, start your studs. Chase is definitely one of those guys. T. Higgins on the mid-level risk. I do believe there is a bounce back for T this week as well. There was just this unquestioned force feeding to a Chase last week versus CeeDee Lamb in Dallas. And Chase got the better of everybody in that matchup. T. Higgins this week definitely feel like a bounce back is coming. They were talking about in the offseason they would like to see T. Higgins return to the fold in Cincinnati. So this could be something to see. So I do think he's going to at least pad some stats. He's dropped a couple passes last week as well. End zone toss was there for T as well. So I do think he's getting back into that end zone. We should see a very good day from T, where Andre Yosevich and Mike Gesicki definitely not touching those guys this week. Cleveland Brownies taking on the Kansas City Chiefs in what is about a 90% rain event potential here in Kansas City. Jameis Winston, he likes to play in inclement weather, so I'm going to give him the mid-level risk with potential TD upside. He just steps up versus big teams, man. So Jameis, he's going to give the Chiefs a run for their money. We know the roller coaster ride of the ups and downs of a Jameis, picks, fumbles, whatever we get. Hopefully we'll get some TDs as well. I don't dislike his floor. I think the upside is definitely here, but in the rain should pull it back just a little bit. Nick Chubb, low floor, not touching it for the playoffs as well. I think there are much better options than in Nick Chubb at this point, especially versus the Chiefs defense that still is pretty good against the run. I don't like really Chubb playing this week. Jerome Ford, low floor, not touching it. Where Jerry Jeudy, I underwhelmed last week on a Jeudy, ranked him a little lower on a fallback game. He found his way into the end zone, but definitely was tapered back. Good upside in the green once again. Jeudy is definitely the unquestioned number one on this team right now. Jameis Winston has the chemistry with him. You can play a Jeudy this week. Elijah Moore on the PPR floor, mid-level risk. It's going to be judgment call for a lot of y'all on this one. I am going to lean elsewhere because I don't necessarily like Elijah Moore in this game outside of garbage time. Think there are better options as well. Where David Njoku, mid-level risk, he is dealing with a hamstring tightness. If he does suit up, I do like Njoku this week to get at least potential red zone opportunities. Dallas Cowboys taking on those Carolina Panthers. Like I'm saying, those Panthers have been playing very well of late. Cooper Rush, low floor, mid-level risk. Not near enough to trust in the fantasy playoffs, but we can definitely play a Rico Suave, Rico Dwaddle. Low-level risk, man. He's been doing very well. They give him some volume, and he is answering that bell. He's looking good, giving us a very safe floor. 13 points potentially. Gets in the end zone, hits it up and around, 16 to 17. You got to love what Rico's doing right now, so I absolutely love the play of a Rico. Likewise, with a CeeDee Lamb, low-level risk, had a very good contest last week versus Chase. It was back and forth with these two gentlemen. Some of my favorite wide receivers fire up Chase everywhere he got him. Brandon Cooks, mid-level risk. It's still a risk for me. There is TD upside, just not enough volume with a Cooper Rush to go around. Likewise with a Jake Ferguson. He just does not look right last week. The way he was running looked laboring. I don't like it this week as well. Mid-level risk. I do believe there are better options at the tight end spot for you this week as well. Denver Broncos taking on the Indianapolis Colts. Both teams coming off the bye week. Bo Nix, Bo knows. Low-level risk, 8 boom games. These guys are ready to go into the postseason, man. If they go 9-5, they are basically almost stamping that ticket into the postseason. Taking on an Anthony Richardson team. Sorry, it's going to be one of these shows, man. I'm trying to catch my breath as I go. But Bo Nix, you can fire him up everywhere you got him, man. Coming off the bye week, Sean Payton definitely has this team moving in the right direction. Love me some Bo Nix on a safe floor this week. Javonte Williams, mid-level. I do believe he finds his way into that end zone. You want to believe that they're going to try to run the football just a little bit more, control some of this game, control the flow. I like Vontae this week as well. Where Jaleel McLaughlin, nice change of pace. He does have multi-flex team appeal as well, but I would likely he would fall into that, Justice Hill category for me as well. I do like other players over him. If you're stuck in a pinch and you got to play Jaleel, then I understand. Cortland Sutton, fire him up everywhere you got him. He's been the staple of consistency this year. 9 boom games, baby. He's just doing more than enough than we require. Troy Franklin, no thank you. We're a Devon Vele, mid-level risk, and I could even put a Marvin Mims on a good upside on the mid-level as well, because Bo is finding all these guys on the regular, and I don't necessarily trust any of these much of this Indianapolis Colts defense at this point, I should say. Shouldn't say any. I don't trust a lot of it at this point. Adam Troutman, we've been fading you all season, and we will continue as we move forward. Detroit Lions taking on my Bills. Like I said, Jared Goff and this offense, man. Okay, we'll start with Monty and Gibby show. They're going to run, and they're going to run. And this is their MO all season long. 12 boom games for both Monty and Gibby, killing it all season long. You fire up Monty and Gibby every single week. It is not even a question at this point. They will run against the Buffalo Bills. They will test the Bills' defense, and they will continue to run that football. There is no question in my mind who has the better day. It's going to be likely Gibby because he can get to that edge a little bit better, but Monty's definitely one of these guys. He's going to have a very good floor for us as well. Jared Goff, on the other hand, it's going to be an interesting situation. How are they going to pass this football versus the Buffalo Bills? Is it going to be to Amon-Ra? Is it going to be the mix and match of Tim Patrick and Sam Laporta? I do foresee a lot of Bills' attention going to the run game and a Amon-Ra in this one. So I do like a Sam Laporta quite a bit this week. I do think that he does find his way into that end zone this week as well. J-Mo, they might try to stretch the field as well. So Amon-Ra, to me, you got to play him. Like I said, play your studs. But again, he hasn't boomed, I think, in the last 2 or 3 games. It's been a struggle for Amon-Ra overall. Maybe this is the game they say, we're going to force feed this man. But the way that the Lions are playing, they're taking what the defense is giving them. Tim Patrick, also TD floor, only in deeper leagues where J-Mo's got that TD upside on the deep shots. I like Sam Laporta and Monty and Gibby more than anybody on this team at this point, and this week, I should say. Green Bay Packers taking on the Seattle Seahawks on Sunday Night Football. Jordan Love, feel the love for love. I'm definitely feeling the love for love this week, man. A low-level risk for me, even though weather could be some, rain as well. You got to watch out for that. They were calling, I think, 40% chance. I do like the fact that Jordan Love is going to be playing this game for the playoffs more than anything. This is a big showdown. They got to keep pace with the Minnesota Vikings in this division. They got to keep pace with the Detroit Lions. They got to keep pace with the wild card hunt. So I do like Jordan Love this week. They got to figure out a way to get Jaden Reed back more involved. Romeo is back as well. I do like Josh Jacobs also, man. Obviously, 11 boom games. This guy's been so damn good, and they continue now where I said, couple weeks back, do they really know what they want to be? Do they want to be a run-heavy team? Do they want to be a pass-happy team? I think they kind of moved into that morphing of saying we are run first with Josh Jacobs because it is working in a very big way. So I do like Jacobs, obviously, this week. You fire him up everywhere we got him. But what do we do? Romeo Doubs, Jaden Reed, Christian Watson, Dontavian Wicks. Fade Wicks everywhere you got him now that Dobbs is back. We're a Reed. How can you trust this man at this point, man? Gave you guys a goose egg last week, crippled a lot of y'all to even make it into the fantasy playoffs. Romeo Doubs coming off the concussion, going to be a little bit rusty. So for me, if I'm ranking it, I still got to put it this way. I'm going to go Watson, Reed, Doubs. If we're going to play him, because Watson has been the guy that step up lately with some bigger plays, but they got to give Jaden Reed a little bit more opportunity. This could be the week that he does break out of the funk, but I don't know if I'm ready to trust it. I would go Watson, Reed, Doubs if I have to rank these guys. Where Tucker Kraft on the mid-level risk. I do like the play of this man versus the Seattle Seahawks this week. Houston Texans taking on those Miami Dolphins. CJ Stroud coming off the bye week. I'm going to temper those expectations. Only 5 boom games, under 200 points. It has not been a great season for CJ Stroud overall, man. I got mid-level risk. He's getting sacked a lot. The offensive line is not blocking enough. They are running a lot with Joe Mixon. He's got to figure his stuff out. Hopefully off the bye week against these Miami Dolphins, they're still fighting for their playoff lives as well, so you know they're going to push. CJ Stroud definitely's got to have one of those breakout games. I just don't think it comes this week. If you got better options than a Stroud, I'm definitely exercising him this week. We're a Joe Mixon, low-level risk, fire him up after we got him. You know they're going to lean on this ground game a lot. Likewise with a Nico, he is a no-brainer, fire him up after we got him. But what do we do with Tank Dell? I'm putting him on my bench, man. I'm sorry, I can't do it. Not in the fantasy playoffs. He's still fighting his hands going into that bye week. And even if he does hit on my bench, I would rather that than play him in my lineup and he continuously gets me the 7.5 points. That does not really help me overall for getting those big splash plays. If you got better options than Tank Dell, I'm definitely taking him this week. John Mechie, Dalton Schultz, we can definitely move on from those gentlemen. Indianapolis Colts taking on those Denver Broncos. Excuse me. It's going to be one of those shows, man. I'm going to be struggling to get through. Anthony Richardson, mid-level risk. There is always rushing upside, but against a defense like this, I think he's going to see quite a few turnovers, man. They're going to confuse this man. He's going to have some issues. Only 3 boom games on the season, so outside of the rushing upside, potential deep shots, I don't foresee a very strong day from an A-Rich, where it could be a Jonathan Taylor week. I still got him on the mid-level risk. They're going to dare this team to pass, so they're going to stack this box quite a bit. Even though the Broncos at times have been susceptible to giving up some big plays on the ground, this should not be the week, especially in the mile high, and I just don't foresee it, man. These guys will likely be gasping for air, so for me, Jonathan Taylor, he does got the volume upside. You're hoping he scores a touchdown, but I got him on a mid-level. Temper those top-end expectations. Josh Downs, we're down for Downs. Maybe not this week for me. Still recovering from that shoulder injury. He is a true questionable tag right now. I'm moving in another direction as well. Likewise with a Michael Pittman, just has not been near enough to get excited about, even though I got him on a mid-level. If a Josh Downs does sit, Michael Pittman, maybe if you're struggling for other options, but if you got a Michael Pittman and you made the playoffs, he's probably been on your bench anyway. A.D. Mitchell, Mo Cox, Mo Problems, Mo Alley Cox, high-level risk. We're definitely not playing those gentlemen either. Jacksonville Jaguars, they got some bad luck, man. Trevor Lawrence goes down with the season-ending injury. Likewise with an Evan Ingram. He is done for the season. Heal up, man, with a torn labrum in his shoulder. Bad news, man, all around for these Jags. The run game's not working. The only bright spot is a Brian Thomas Jr., where Mac Money Jones, low floor, man. He's going to continue to give you the interceptions. This team is in such disarray. There's not much to play for outside of, anything for the offseason. Draft picks, I guess. But, Mac Jones, we're not touching it. Travis Etienne, Tank Bigsby. If I got to pick one, I'm taking Tank Bigsby on the mid-level. We're a low upside for a Travis Etienne. Just has not been his year. No question. Tank does have TD upside this week. Parker Washington, Tim Jones, not touching it, no bueno. We're a Brian Thomas Jr., low-level risk, 9 boom games. He is going to still be at least that thought process guy that's going to get us at least target share to get us at least potential touchdowns. That's where we're going with BTJ. I definitely do like the play of him as well. We're Brenton Strange, PPR upside on the mid-level risk. He did have some good chemistry with a Lawrence, did have some chemistry with a Mac Jones. I don't hate the play of a Strange this week if you need a tight end. Kansas City Chiefs taking on those Cleveland Brownies. Like I'm saying, rain event potential. Patrick Mahomes, they got some good news. Hollywood Brown is coming back off the IR return. 21-day window is opening up. He's not playing this week, though, so mid-level risk for Patrick Mahomes. He's seen better years. It's almost like, they just trying to coast through the season, and they just keep winning with the horseshoe up their culo, with the refs giving them everything, too. It's enough already. They should likely win this contest as well. Kareem Hunt, low, volume floor. He's being faded out of this, run game as well, where Isaiah Pacheco 2 weeks in a row told you to caution the play. He busted both weeks. This week, I could see, them unleashing him just a little bit more. I do like the play of a Pacheco more so than I have in the last 2, but I'm still giving him a mid-level risk depending on how he does play, how much they want to give him and bring him back. DeAndre Hopkins on the good upside continues to be the leading wide receiver on this team week to week, where Xavier Worthy, mid-level risk. Even the TD upside is basically gone at this point. I think there are better options at this point for a Worthy because they're not even testing teams deep at this point. Travis Kelce, low-level risk. I'm firing him up, man. It's the fantasy playoffs. Playoffs, we got to get the points where we need them. Travis Kelce should be able to at least bounce back in a decent way versus these Cleveland Browns. And Noah Gray is the true boomer bust on the mid-level risk. Los Angeles Chargers taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Justin Herbert. Herbie, he's suiting up this week. Coach Harbaugh said he's got the strength of 10 men. And I was like, okay, man, all right. I understand Herbert is one of my favorites. Such a, absolute beast, man. You got to basically puncture his leg to, keep him off the field. Mid-level risk versus these Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I would uplift him to a good upside play if a Ladd McConkey does suit up. So right now we're saying Ladd is trending to play in a good way, so that is good. I got good upside in the green for a Ladd. He's a good lad. And Justin Herbert, I would like the play if a Ladd does suit up. So I would say good upside still on the mid-level for Herbert, only because he was dealing with that injury. We're good upside Ladd McConkey. If you got him, play him if he's starting. If not, then you got to look in other directions. TD dependency for a Gus Edwards. Gus the Bus, I don't like the play this week. Vidal is an afterthought. Josh Palmer, way too hard to trust. We're a QJ. Okay, he booms last week, and what's he going to do for us because we want to play him? He's going to bust this week. So look for other options as well, where Ladd would be my guy. And then Stone Smart with a Will Disley out. He looked good, and I do like the play of this guy as well. There is good upside on the PPR floor. Should get you at least relatively safe points, 5 or 6. And then if he scores a touchdown, if a Herbie does look in his direction, we could be singing some good things with this young man. Las Vegas Raiders taking on the Atlanta Falcons. Like I said on Monday Night Football, Aiden O'Connell. Injury risk. There is potential. He does suit up. He's got a bone bruise on that knee. Likely going to sit this week. What's the point in rushing the guy back? Desmond Ridder should play this week, so I only got him here for semantics because we're not playing a Desmond Ridder anyway. If Ridder does play, everybody gets a downgrade in this sense. Volume floor for Namir Abdullah. We're a McCormick. He's starting to make turn some heads, got some volume. Still was under 10 points last week, so it wasn't necessarily great, but it was nice to see him run the football and get a lot of trust from the coaching staff. So McCormick, I'm going to say mid-level risk with an Aiden O'Connell, a little bit lesser for me if a Desmond Ridder does play. So definitely temper those expectations. Mid-level risk to low floor if a Ridder plays for a Trey Tucker, where PPR upside and for a Jacoby Myers would be there. But if Ridder is playing, I'm definitely doubting that to a mid-level as well. Where Brock Bowers, low-level risk if an O'Connell plays, mid-level risk if a Ridder plays. So that's going to be one to watch as well, because Brock has been that beast that we love. It just might not work out if an O'Connell does not play. Desmond Ridder has seen better days, and I do not trust it in the fantasy playoffs, so I will definitely keep you guys updated in those comments on the health of an Aiden O'Connell. Miami Dolphins taking on those Houston Texans. Tua, low-level risk, man. Fire him up. He's got his security to help, protect his home. I think that he's going to have a good day as well. He's been playing very well, man. Distributing the football all around. The Miami Dolphins had just waived an OBJ, Odell Beckham Jr. He's done in Miami. Not like he was doing much anyway, but Tua, you can fire him up in the first round of the fantasy playoffs. I'm very comfortable with that against these Houston Texans. Devin off the A-Chain, man. 8-boom games. Guy's been killing it. You obviously fire him up everywhere you got him, and everyone was fading a Tyreek last week. What's wrong with y'all, man? You know he's going to gear up for these games. Fire up Tyreek everywhere you got him as well. Jalen Waddle time. Getting a lot more comfortable for me because they are starting to pass the football in his direction as well. I do like it a lot. Good upside on the mid-level for a Jalen Waddle. Wide receiver, low-end wide receiver 2 to flex appeal for me for Waddle. He's been doing very good. Now that they're kind of going back to basics, how they used to play football, these guys are all definitely fantasy viable. Jonnu Smith. They obviously realized they did not need Odell Beckham because Jonnu is basically the third wide receiver on this team. He's been killing it, and I do like it. Mid-level risk. It took him a while to get a catch in that game last week. Caught, 3 passes on that overtime drive and scored the touchdown. You guys are biting your fingernails off. I know y'all were, but I think Jonnu's going to have a good game once again. He is a fixture in this offense. Minnesota Vikings taking on those Bears on Monday Night Football. Sam Darnold and company told a lot of y'all play Addy last week. And again, boom time, man. 30-plus points for my dude Addy. He was my guy coming out of USC, coming out of Pitt. You know I love this kid's game. He was so much better at Pitt, and you can see you feed this man the football, good things are going to come. He is a true wide receiver one in this league. He just has the fortunate upside of playing with someone like JJ. Fire up at Darnold everywhere he got him. Fire up at Aaron Jones everywhere he got him. I know a lot of y'all are concerned that he was dealing with some injury. He's fine. It's vet rest, management, rep management is how I should say it. But he's going to be fine, man. He had a good game last week, and they're definitely going to continue to lean on his services. Fire him up everywhere he got him. JJ, don't even have to question that. You fire him up. Finally had a very good game. Jordan Addison, good upside in the green. They're going to continue. They found something that works, and as long as the coverage continues to go to Justin Jefferson, Addy's going to be the guy that Sam Darnold is definitely looking to. 11 boom games for Sam Darnold. Unbelievable year this man has had. I think you guys got to pay him in Minnesota because he's doing very well, man. We're at TJ Hawkinson, low floor on the mid-level. It's a tricky one at this point, especially if they're going to continue to utilize Jefferson and Addy. I mean, your floor for a Hawk is going to be around that 6-point threshold, so unless he scores a touchdown, you may be disappointed this week as well. New England Patriots taking on those Arizona Cardinals. Drake May and the company, they're coming off the bye week. I do like the play of Drake May. If you've been streaming quarterbacks this year and you are in the fantasy playoffs, you're looking for someone to play and you got no other better options, Drake May is a good one this week. Coming off the bye week, I definitely foresee him having a decent day versus these Arizona Cardinals in the desert. Ramondre Stevenson, I don't say this very often, but I'm calling low-level risk, man. I think that the way his body is put together, the way that he can run the football against this Cardinals defense, they seem to be fading in the wrong direction. I do like the play of a Dre this week as well. I do foresee him getting into that end zone if they move this football with good, relative success this week, man. Gibson, Butte, not touching it. Bourne, not touching it. We're a Pop Douglas, pop. He's only going to get you around that 8-point floor again, but he is very consistent in that stretch as well. There are better options. 14, 16-team leagues. Yes, you can play a Pop Douglas this week on the PPR upside mid-level, where Hunter Henry should be able to find his way to good point productivity this week as well. Austin Hooper has been eating into his share of the workload, but I do like me some Hunter Henry this week. I think this is the week that he does have a very good day. New Orleans Saints taking on those Washington Commanders, the Commies. Okay, Jake Haener, there is no more. Derek Carr, broken hand, concussion, he's done. Haener's going to be playing this week. High-level risk. I mean, we're not touching it. Why would you even consider it? What happens now? What happens with Alvin Kamara? This is a big problem because he's the only one left that has got massive fantasy upside that we require. I still got him in the green. Okay, it's going to be tapered off unless he does it himself. But unless Haener can actually move this football through the air, there's going to be very limited lanes to gallop through against this Commanders defense. And we could see, them spell a Kendre Miller as this game does go on. So there is concern this week for Alvin Kamara. But like I said, you got to play your studs, man. Go down with the ship. If you do lose, I would rather have Alvin Kamara miss on my starting lineup than hit on my bench and be like, damn it, I should have played my studs. Alvin Kamara definitely volume upside in the green. 11 boom games. He'll get you at least a very safe floor. May not get the top end appeal that we're looking for. MVS. Mid-level risk outside of getting a deep touchdown, especially with, Derek Carr not finding him the last several weeks. I don't foresee a Haener having much more success. Wilson Austin not touching it. Target floor, mid-level risk for a Jawan Johnson. Told y'all last week I like the opportunity with the Taysom Hill gone. He found his way into the end zone, and then Derek Carr goes down with an injury. Just absolute crappy luck for this dude. Still don't dislike Johnson this week, even though it is with Haener, but I would look in other directions if you have those options. New York Giants taking on the Baltimore Ravens. Tommy DeVito, forget about it. I mean, definitely forget about it. I'm not touching basically anybody on this offense this week. Tyrone Tracy and Malik Neighbors, they got the best upside, obviously, but we saw the last time a DeVito did play. It did not look good, man, and taking on these Ravens coming off the bye week, they're going to come after this guy with massive rush and, confusing plays. Tyrone Tracy, play at your own risk. I'm putting him on my bench. If it's me, that's how I'm doing it. Low floor, mid-level. If he hits, I hope you guys actually get the hit if you do play it. I just can't trust it this week. I'll definitely leave that in your court, man. Cautious play for me. I think there are better options than a Tyrone Tracy this week, where Malik Neighbors, He's a QB floor for me at this point. With Tommy DeVito, it's going to be very tough. You could see he's, visibly frustrated, not getting enough, opportunities. 7 boom games, still doing his business. He needs a quarterback, though. QB floor definitely on the mid-level. He could definitely disappoint for us this week. So hopefully you got better options than a Neighbors, but I get it. If you don't, I don't in one league as well. He's going to be playing because I don't have better options than a Malik Neighbors. Slayton Wandale. If I have to play one of them, I'm going Wandale over Slayton, but I don't like the play of these guys either. We're a Daniel Bellinger, high-level risk as the tight end, should not get much use in this game. So outside of this game being out of hand early for Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry running wild, garbage time's the only thing saving a Tracy and Neighbors this week, in my opinion. New York Jets taking on those Jacksonville Jaguars. Aaron Rodgers, man, mid-level risk, doing enough to at least support us fantasy-wise with good viability. Don't dislike it whatsoever. Good streaming option once again. He found good fortune with Devontae and Garrett last week. They got nothing to play for but pride, so you know that they're going to try their best this week to continue down that path. There might be an opportunity where they say, okay, you guys finish the season well, we'll bring the whole cast of characters back. I don't foresee it happening, but at least in this sense, we require somebody to play very well for this team. I like both the plays of a Devontae Adams and a Garrett Wilson, once again versus a very much struggling Jacksonville team. Aaron Rodgers, if you are streaming quarterbacks, don't dislike it as well. What do we do with Breece Hall? He said he's likely going to suit up in this contest. He is a questionable on the knee. Mid-level, man. This is such a tough one right now. If you got Breece Hall, like I'm kind of going with the same mantra, play your studs, play your studs. They're definitely going to be doing splits, man. So Braylon Allen, Isaiah Davis, and then Breece Hall. If Breece is truly healthy, he's going to get his 12, 15 touches. He will get them. But, I mean, how healthy is he? So we will see. I'll keep you guys updated in the comments as well. If you got Breece, unfortunately, I think we got to suit him up because he's saying he's going to play. We got to play him, man. If he does not play, you got to go, I think, again, Davis over in Allen, where Allen would still sneak in there as TD upside play. But at Davis, he looked so much more explosive than Allen did, and he was getting more opportunities that way in this offense as well. Lazard and Conklin, definitely not trusting these gentlemen this week in the first round of the playoffs. Philadelphia Eagles taking on those Pittsburgh Steelers in the Battle of Penn. Jalen Hurts, man, low-level risk, and here's what's going to happen this week. We know every time I don't want to say that because he's going to come find me and kick my butt. A.J. Brown, grown-ass man A.J. Brown, he was complaining about the pass game with a Jalen Hurts saying, we got to fix our pass game, basically calling him out. What happens when a wide receiver one calls out their quarterback? They seemingly get 15 targets the next week. A.J. Brown is definitely going to have that bounce back week. He should find a lot of targets to come his way. They're going to force the issue and force feed A.J. Brown. He's calling it out. He's saying, give me the damn ball. Now they're going to say, okay, first half, here's all the balls you can handle. And I know how that sounded. He's going to get him, man. I'm telling y'all. So A.J. Brown, absolutely bounce back week. I totally foresee this coming. You got to keep the guy happy, so they're going to force feed this man. Jalen Hurts, fire him up every 12 boom games, almost 300 points. Don't even think about it, even versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. They will play ball, man. Saquon, low-level risk. He's going for the NFL record for rushing yards. He's going to carry us to the fantasy playoffs without question. We're at Devontae Smith. Smitty, PBR upside is definitely here. The only caveat is, if my theory is true that A.J. Brown is going to get all these targets, is it going to come at the demise of a Smitty? It is very possible, but I do think that there's going to be enough to go around for Smitty as well. Give you at least a safe 12 points once again this week if he finds his way into that end zone. Don't dislike Smitty this week as well. We're at Grant Calcaterra, low floor. Mid-level risk, there are better options, but he's doing at least enough to get us that safe 9 points. Last week, maybe he does it again this week. I'm kind of fading a Calcaterra because I think it is Smitty and A.J. Brown. Pittsburgh Steelers taking on those Philadelphia Eagles, like I'm saying. Russell Wilson, let's weld. Dangerous. I mean, he's got so many nicknames. Mid-level risk versus the Philadelphia Eagles. We'll see how they do. They don't have George Pickens. That's my biggest problem at this point, so they're going to have to continue to grind it out. They're going to have to continue to run the football. The wide receivers, Van Jefferson, Calvin Austin, Mike Williams, Cordero Patterson, not touching it, man. I am not touching any of it so far in this one, where you do got a Najee Harris, mid-level risk. I've been kind of disrespectful on Najee the last couple weeks. I don't dislike the play, but it's going to be very tough running. He is built for a game like this to at least take the punishment and the abuse from the Eagles' front seven. Don't dislike it, Najee, but temper your top end. You got to think it's going to be anywhere from 8 to 12 points. Hopefully he gets into that end zone. But Russell Wilson, I'm looking in another direction this week. He's got to put on old-style dangerous capes to, for me to play without a George Pickens. I just do not like it, man. Pat Freiermuth, the Moot. If I'm the Eagles, I make everybody else but the Muth beat me and Najee beat me. That's basically the MO, so I would definitely temper the high-end expectation. I've been preaching up the Muth the last 2 weeks. This is the week I'm going to fade him a little bit. If you got no other better options, I get in the Muth, but I don't really like it this week as well. Seattle Seahawks taking on those Green Bay Packers. Huge game for the Seahawks to continue to keep pace in that division. Leader of the division, Geno Smith, man, He's doing what he needs to do, but he's not helping us overall in fantasy football. That's the biggest problem that we have with the Geno right now. The biggest, greatest spot of it was a Zach Charbonnet. Kenneth Walker III likely out on the doubtful right now this week, so they are going to turn to Zach Charbonnet once again this week. 5 boom games. He absolutely torched those Cardinals last week. I love the play of a Charbonnet once again. He is built for this type of football. Fresh legs. He's good, man. He's good to go. If you got him, you definitely fire him up everywhere you got him. McIntosh not playing, but what do we do with DK? I got him on a mid-level. He is something of a TD-dependent player right now, where a lot of the targets are going to Jackson Smith-Njigba. I did not foresee it all going to Njigba and Jackson Smith-Njigba, but nothing going to a Metcalf really to be overly abundant. This is a problem. They got to get DK back on track, but I do foresee, again, Zach Charbonnet and Jackson Smith-Njigba being the 1-2 punch, and then Metcalf, maybe still dealing with some injury. You got to hope for the best, man. You got to hope he finds his way back into that end zone to give you the high-end point totals. It still is a risk. If you got better options than DK, I would exercise them. If you don't and you got to roll with DK, I get it, man. He is overdue, and the potential for him to score a touchdown is definitely here as well, where Jackson Smith-Njigba, low-level risk, you fire him up everywhere you got him. What I say like 5 weeks ago, he's going to be one of the best route-running machines in this league, and I believe he's wide receiver 3 in fantasy football right now? Check me on that. I think I misread that, but I think he is definitely on that high note. We're a Noah Fant not playing it because he has not done much for us this season. Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on the LA Chargers. It's a tough one for me to endorse a Bake show on a low-level risk. There is good upside here. Baker just knows how to play football. He's been doing very well. 270 points, 10 boom games. Even with some interception problems, he's still finding ways to give us very good fantasy point productivity. You can play a Baker this week on the good upside. He should be able to at least spread the football around like he has done all season long. Rachaad White, Bucky Irving. Bucky still dealing with that hip injury. Is a questionable. If he sits, obviously you're firing up a Rachaad White. If Bucky plays, I'm still leaning towards a White over Bucky this week because that hip is a problem, and he could, again, exit early, sit on that sideline, and definitely cripple y'all. So keep Bucky on the bench. If outside of him being removed from the injury report late and saying he's fully good to go, then I'm okay clearing a Bucky to play, but I still don't like the hip issue on the questionable, where Rachaad White should be able to take over once again, have a very sound day. Sean Tucker, only if Bucky Irving does sit, may give you 5 points, so deeper leagues only. Mike Evans, TD upside in the green where he was faded last week for other guys. I think this is Mike Evans' week. He's flirting with a danger of not getting 1,000 yards this year. That would be absolutely terrible news. TD upside for a Mike Evans this week. They're going to make a conscious effort to get him the football, where Jalen McMillan, watch out, man. He scores 2 tutties last week. A lot of people are going to throw him in the lineup. I would caution against that one this week. PPR floor on the mid-level risk, where Cade Otton, at least he bounced back with a decent show of 8.5 points, half PPR last week. I still think we're going to be somewhat in that similar realm. Mid-level risk, outside of him finding the end zone, he is going to get you about the 6 to 8 points once again, which is decent enough for tight ends. Tennessee Titans taking on the Cincinnati Bengals. Will Levis, not touching Will in the playoffs, even though the Bengals defense, they do have more holes than Swiss cheese. Not doing it with a Will. We got a problem to watch out for on a Tony Pollard, though. He's been on the injury report with the ankles all season long, with the knees all season long. This week, he is true questionable. I mean, low-level risk if he does play. If he does not, I mean, can you play a Tajay Spears? I'm not really liking it. Even versus a Cincinnati Bengals team, I'm really thinking Tony Pollard's going to suit up in this contest and should be able to make a lot of noise versus the Cincinnati Bengals, who have a big-time problem stopping anybody on the defensive side. Calvin Ridley, good upside. I think that he does have something of a bounce back this week. I'm waiting for it. And I mean, again, he failed us the last 2 weeks. My fault. I'm buying into the, hype train that Will Levis can support it. I'm buying back into it this week. So, I mean, play with caution, but there is good upside here versus a Bengals defense that really does struggle to stop anybody. Nick Westbrook, Akine failed everybody after everyone said, okay, it's time to start this guy. So, TD upside definitely back on the mid-level. He is a boomer bust caliber type of player. So, in the fantasy playoffs, if you don't have better options, I don't know how you got into the playoffs at this point anyway. Finishing it off, thank God, with the Washington Commanders, the commies. I'm dying over here, man. Jaden Daniels, stud start of the week, coming off the bye week. New Orleans Saints, they're in disarray. Haener's the quarterback. JD's going to absolutely light it up, man. This guy could be a league winner for us as well. Stud start, he's going to make a light-up show, definitely, of this Saints defense. Brian Robinson Jr., B-Rob, fire him up everywhere he got him as well. 128 points outside of injuries. He's been a killer machine all season long. Scary Terry McLaurin, low-level risk. Fire him up everywhere he got him because you know he's going to do the business. They did lose Noah Brown, so now it's going to be the patch-made solution. Luke McCaffrey, Diami Brown, Olamide Zaccheaus. I mean, we'll see who does take it. You just can't trust any supported piece at the wide receiver position for these commies. We're a Zach Ertz on the mid-level risk. He's been doing very well. 7 booms, 104 points. I do like the play of Zach Ertz as well this week. Versus these New Orleans Saints, he could definitely find his way back into that end zone off the bye week. But I love me some Daniels, B-Rob, and Terry. Absolutely. You fire these guys up everywhere you got them. But there you have it. That is week number 15. Starts it. Lineup advice. That was a struggle for me. I'm probably going to go have some water and pass out after this one. But definitely throw your start sit questions in the comments. We ride together. We get those trophies together. Hopefully, I could definitely help you guys win those trophies as well. But nevertheless, as always, don't forget that like button, hit that subscribe button, jump in those comments like I'm saying, and we'll see you next time. I am out.